Hey guys, Cruxal. Here's a no bullshit guide to angles in CSGO. First, I'm going to go over the power of using off angles. An off angle is just holding a common line of sight at an awkward angle that the enemy wouldn't normally expect you to be holding it from. For example, it's very easy to die at long corner on Dust 2 as a CT if you aren't quick, because everyone and their mother holds that angle. But even just a change as small as jumping on the ledge behind you can save your life. A good off angle is one that changes things up while not leaving you too vulnerable. A lot of stupid chodes in this game try to hold things out in the middle of the open, which is stupid because if you miss your shot, you have no cover and you'll die. So make sure that while you're switching things up, you're not being a total dumbass. The one time it's actually okay to hold an off angle in the middle of the open areas is if you're in a 1v1 situation and know you're not going to be traded. So don't hold shit like this if you know there's going to be multiple enemies rushing towards you. Choosing a good off angle could be as simple as saying, hey, where's somewhere that I die from on this map and I always rage about? Let me play there. Scaffolding is a wonderful example of an off angle and not enough people check for players here. It is important, however, to not overuse certain off angles or angles in general, because if your opponent is smart at all, they will catch on to it and punish you in later rounds like a murderous dominatrix. One and done spots are what I call cheap or otherwise super advantageous spots that the enemy often doesn't check at first. These places are often called such because as soon as you exploit it in game, the enemy will check or try to counter it for the rest of the game. This bitch ass corner on B is a perfect example. As soon as you get a nice play from here, the enemy will nade it or pre-fire it for every round of the rest of that half to prevent them from getting cucked on again by you and your bitch ass strats. A simple smoke can help you try out certain risky off angles, but like I said before, you'll probably only get away with shit like this once per game, if that. I really don't recommend this style of holding angles, but sometimes it's just so stupid that it works. Also, as soon as that smoke disappears, you're really fucked, so good luck. A mistake a lot of people make in this game is getting comfortable holding one angle per sight and doing it all game. I know I'm personally a huge victim of this, and as soon as people realize it, they start to punish me for it. Make sure you're trying to always switch it up on how you hold certain angles throughout the game, and to always be unpredictable to the enemy. If they're never 100% sure on how you're holding an angle, you'll often have the jump on them. If you have time in between frags to rotate from a tricky angle, to make sure you do so. That way the enemy will probably be telling their team exactly where you were upon their death, so they will pre-fire the old spot you were at, giving you precious time to kill them in return. I've gone over this next part in an earlier video, but I wanted to repeat it since this is the perfect example of holding angles poorly. The farther you are from a corner, the less you have to move to be invisible from the enemy after a peek. As you can see here, I move you slowly until the enemy can't see my player model anymore. The distance is much greater when I'm right up against the corner because my body is much bigger to the enemy when I'm that close. It takes a good 2 or 3 steps to be fully invisible again after I whiff my shot, unlike the 1 step it takes from a faraway distance. That's why I shit on car so much in my Dust 2 videos, because it's literally the shittiest place to try to hold, and the enemy can spot you well before you even get a glimpse of them. Holding any angle that involves jump peeking is a fucking bad idea. You're gonna get dicked on. If you at first miss a frag on a common engagement point, falling back ever so slightly to force your enemy into a position that has no cover helps immensely. This is a great example on Cat. Instead of holding the angle, I fall back to force him out of cover to peek me. This also works really well with opping. Here's an example on long. I fall back forcing the enemy to re-peek me out in the complete open. And even if I whiff again, he is far from any cover so I can re-bolt and kill him in the meantime. Sometimes not re-peeking helps immensely with leveraging the outcome of an engagement. When in front of props that are double-sided like boxes here on A site, try to randomize the angles you peek in order to never be too predictable to the enemy. This requires nice aim obviously, but it helps force the enemy out to commit to one side, and that gives you a 50-50 chance of peeking the angle they aren't covering, which is usually an easy frag. Using world props to change up your re-peek is huge when challenging oppers as well. Here's an example where the enemy stands on cement blocks instead of re-peeking low on Cat, which forces the opper to flick or most likely leg the enemy and get dinked in return. Really only quick oppers will ever be able to counter this, and it adds that special amount of randomness that will really throw off most players. A lot of times if you're able to peek higher than you were before, even if they do hit the shot, they'll only leg you. Hopefully you guys were able to understand and take away from this video, because choosing your angles and engagements is something you do on a subconscious level, so it's tough to change that up, but it's definitely for the better. Thanks for watching.